Do you have a phone number for the lobby?
I'll get one though. We're broadcasting live.
Oh, is the link out?
Yeah. I'm making one right now. Let me make sure that.
I'll follow the hashtag and retweet it.
I'm gonna test it real quick.
I haven't heard from Nick before, can you?
I hope you're still sure.
Yeah, maybe.
He hasn't given us a slide.
I have a feeling though that we might like swoop in through the window. Like parachute.
You know him? Do you know him?
No, I don't. China.
No,
You know what I love? So remember you were going to speak at the one in back in June. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, you're sponsored. Wait a minute. Like I was looking at what you're doing. I'm like, speak. And then I asked mom, like, oh, we're doing it in New York. Like let's look for some great speakers. And then I saw your name, and I was like, oh,
I know. I mentioned that I knew you, and she was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's good to finally meet you.
It's funny because I'm not with Marcy anymore.
Yeah,
but we're cool.
You're doing the stuff that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because at that event, Eric came and he was like he came with the most normal stuff. He was so helpful, really. But
He's not with the company.
He's not with me, and so it's like, wow, dude. He's like, I don't know, a lot of good people.
Totally. I'm really glad you're back. I just talked to Andrew.
And he's like, never do I expect it from a sponsor to like participate in the hackathon, like just giving talks. And participating. And I'm like,
they're pretty cool.
what? Yeah.
How's it going? How's it coming together?
Well, compared to the one in June, this one has been a lot smoother because there's just like more people on the team. Before it was like me and then Matt, but it was like overwhelming. But now it's like, we have more people at a medley. We hired like 3 more people, and so one of them, Laura, she helped out with like logistics and long and David, and like really brought some folks around the team. Gene, you got Gene? Yo, okay, she's in the back.
So nice to meet you. How are you doing? Thanks for coming.
Of course. I didn't miss it.
Awesome.
It's my backyard.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's cool.
So are you gonna stay for the whole day?
No, I can't. I'm watching my family in town, so like I have to kind of like quickly.
Well, thank you for coming.
Oh, of
then,
course.
so.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're really happy you're
What
here.
time are you heading out?
Like literally like after my time.
Oh, right over the
I
top.
can come back later, but like I have to go to
You want to come to the party?
Where's what?
It's going to be at the W, like later.
Oh, yeah. Literally. One of my parents are asleep.
Yeah.
Gene planned it out.
Party, come in. Yeah. There's a WTJ. Yeah. Don't bring the parents.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, well, it's so nice to meet you. Probably how much time you have?
Oh, let's start in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Need my microphone.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to just project because the mic doesn't work. So we're gonna be.
Oh, the
loud.
mic isn't working?
It doesn't work. So we'll turn the music off. Keep it quiet.
Okay. So should I give it 5 minutes? Okay.
So no, all right. Lovely. And then there's this. Let me just double check on whether it's Lenny, can I try this one here?
Grab coffee or bagel. 5 minutes. We're gonna get started with the opening remarks, and then the lightning talks. So
This is great.
rest and everything. Go ahead now. Looking forward to it.
I just have to say hello to this gentleman. I'm Ingrid from Tribeca.
I had the most amazing. I can't remember if I wrote it in email or if I planned on talking about it. But when I met Opiemi at I.O.,
Yeah.
it was like the most exciting conversation because like you're at I.O. and everyone's like really balling. They're making amazing art. And then Opiemi comes and she's like, "This is cool, but like, where can we take this?" You know, like, and I remember she was asking like, "How could you create a story around this? How could you create a narrative? What would happen if this was in Times Square?"
Right.
And just like really pushing the ideas further. And I was like, I need more of you at these kinds of events.
Totally.
You know, like to get all this talent and like,
Yeah, and you know, because I feel like she's so. I mean, we all are really trying so much to bridge these gaps between all these different worlds. You know, like journalism, documentary, art, tech. You know, so.
and you're doing it. So
Yeah,
many people came to
slowly.
me and they told me about the show, the art show, the new media show from last year.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, like all these. When is the next? I definitely
I was going to actually talk to you about that. It's April, and TFI Interactive is going to be April 18th.
Okay.
So we should totally talk.
I wanna-
I'd love
I
to
wanna
have you come.
Are you going to Iowa this year?
I don't know anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just had a budget slash. So
Oh, really? Okay.
it sucks. I know, we were all getting really excited about it. Just to make it work. We're not really allowed to travel too much.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll be there in spirit.
Yeah. Well, then make them come to you.
But I have to reach out to some of those guys and, you know, see if there's. What I want to do
I'm
next.
giving a talk there this year. Yeah. No. I mean, like, it's it'll be recorded.
Well, what I'm going to talk to them about is what I want to
I
do
think this
maybe
is better than
next
a talk.
year.
We're having a
Maybe
conversation.
we'll bring a bunch of interactive film people there.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll bring them like as a delegation to like infiltrate because a lot of those IO folks don't know the film folks. So I'm going to talk to them about maybe we could do that. You know, we could actually bring them and pay for them. You know, and fund
And
it.
even have a workshop
Yeah,
too.
right.
Because
Exactly.
like, say you were doing a workshop,
Yes.
a Rebecca workshop,
Yeah.
they would probably fly you over themselves.
Yeah, I'll talk to them about that. So I think that could be a really cool way of, you know, doing
Yeah.
what we want to
I
do.
mean, you were already like kind of pushing the edge of the space with the show that you did.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of people at the edge of
I'm
media.
curating that at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Of course.
Cool. Well, I'll talk to you about. I'm going to send you all the
Is this
dates.
alright?
Yeah.
Have some coffee and yeah. And I'm in New York like fairly at least once a month
Where
now.
are you based?
In Boston.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I'm going to email you all the dates for the festival so you know what's happening, and
Okay.
then you can definitely come and I'll keep you posted about everything. we're
Oh,
doing.
can't wait.
So we can be involved in them. And I was thinking maybe also if you're around and you're willing, you could do a talk at TFI Interactive.
Okay.
They're just lightning talks at 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you're in town,
Yeah. Well, why
I'd be-
not? I'd love to.
I'd be like super into that.
Wow. You know why
We just
my
talk about-
conversation with Opiemi like freaking obliterated my mind? Because I make interactive and collaborative art, and
Yeah.
when something becomes interactive, moving that to a narrative, it's like so hard.
Yeah.
And I just remember being bored. I was talking about it. You know, Theo Watson. Yeah, so I was talking to him about it. He was like playing video games And so after she told me this, after we had that, I've been talking about it with my group.
Yeah.
And we're coming up with different possible ideas. Like if video game is on one end of the spectrum, where you have like almost a movie with interspliced interactive stuff.
Yeah.
What could be more on the interactive side? Just like
Okay, we should definitely keep
Yeah.
talking. We can figure out, and I'll tell you a little bit more, not now, but about the other speakers we have. And actually, it's the 18th, April 18th, Saturday.
is it? It's not overlapping with FITC. No, it's not. It's the weekend
I
after.
think so, because I was at FITC last year and it was after.
Oh, okay. Are you going this year? Oh, you were speaking.
That's the one in Toronto.
Yeah.
No, I spoke last year.
Oh, I was going.
I was going to do this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's online. It's a bit of a, I was right after the festival and
Hey, you guys, you're on the internet.
Oh.
Your conversation is being recorded.
What did you have to I'm going to keep talking. I would love to. And then
Let's get started. All right.
We'll figure it out. Sorry. Oh, you're not.
You know, it's a good way of doing this. Yeah. Whoever just started clapping. Good morning, everyone. I didn't hear you. Okay. I'm Coven. My name is Coven. Be really call me Coven. Kids Coven. We don't have a microphone, so we're going to be projecting. If you can't, this isn't gonna. Okay, so everyone can hear me. Nod if your head if you can hear. I'm looking at you in the corner. Can you hear me? Awesome. Great. So, really excited to see everybody here. For how many people is this your first hackathon? Cool. Awesome. I'm so happy we came out. You know, it can be a little bit scary, but we have a really welcoming crew here. I'm going to introduce the team later, but you know, if anything comes up, you know, talk to us. But you know, it's going to be amazing. And how many people are coming from New York? Cool. And how many people are coming from outside of New York? Wow. Wow. This is great.
Yeah.
And so this is the part where I'm like, what?
Wait,
Wow.
and I think we have someone from Tel Aviv too. Is Leon here?
Really? Anybody else coming from overseas? Very good.
Well,
And so there's, you know, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. There's a lot of comments. Everyone here applied, and you know, we looked at the applications and tried to create balanced teams. Put a lot of thought into it. So if you look around you, there's a lot lot of excited people here. Throughout the weekend, I encourage you to just like, don't know someone to be like, what's up? Because they're probably doing amazing things just like you. And I'm going to go through some of the general guidelines. So here's the website. If you want to go on the internet, it's actually, yeah, scroll down. Okay, general guidelines. Yes. So Wi-Fi, can you zoom in a little bit? So Wi-Fi is CN Guest 2, hashtags video hack. So like any thoughts you have, things, tweet it out. We have a code of conduct. It's basically like, I mean, be kind. You can. Yeah, I encourage you to read through it. And if there's anything that happens, we will address it very quickly. We want to make this a welcoming and safe space.
Yeah, please don't hesitate. If anything happens that you're uncomfortable with, you can approach any of the organizers, and we're happy to do it.
And we'll keep it anonymous. So let's see. So we can use. Oh, Lenny will go into this more about the space. There will be some filming, so if you want to be filmed, let me know, or let any of us know. And then these are the Twitter things of the team. This is all on the website, so you can look at it later. And I just want to do some quick thanks. Our sponsors, Condé Nast, for the space. The company I'm with, and Bedley, for letting me do this and bring in some of my coworkers to help out. Parsley. Yeah. Ramp. Back there. And MIT Future Views. Matt and IBM. And thanks to our volunteers, Audrey over here, on the camera, Dave, Steph, and Kate Gardner, who you meet tonight. They'll organize the party, the team. And then to all the speakers and the workshop leaders, Ina, Ingrid, Gerard, Andrew, Nicholas, Scott, Mom, Laura, Michael, Morgan, Andy, Andrew, Scott, so everybody that, and also to the team. And we'll do, maybe just, let's just go into the team.
Missing from that list is you, though. Yeah.
I'm right here. So, we'll start with.
Hi, I'm Matt Carroll. I'm with the MIT Media Lab. You teach reviews. And so we work with media companies and also students at the Media Lab trying to get projects that the students are working on media companies out there to beta testing and then hopefully turn into real products or companies. In fact, there's a couple students here. There's Vivian Lee and David. You guys just raise your hand 1 second. Anyways, that's it.
Okay, so my name is Jean Brooks. I'm the first executive director of Hacks Hackers. So Hacks Hackers is a global movement of journalists and technologists who are working together to share knowledge, information, and ideas to build the future of news. So that's all of you guys. I just want to give a quick shout out. We have Jenny Lee, who's one of our board members here. Here she is. And then is Chris Wu here yet? Chris Wu will also be joining us. She's also one of our board members. And then I also just want to shout out Deb, who's one of our leaders from Prague, who came in. We also have Pippin Lee is here, and he's one of our leaders from Toronto. Hi, Pippin. So it's really awesome we had some folks travel in from out of town.
And why did we choose video? Well, video is one of the most profitable.
Oh, wait.
Time out? Oh, sorry. I'm Long Bo. I lead a team of coder reporters at Al Jazeera America, where we try to harshly mellow at prime time every day, because all we do is depressing subjects, but they're important stories. And I'm a reformed video journalist, now kind of multi-hyphenate, who does coding, reporting, data journalism, data visualizations, animations, video, and photography whenever she can, and I write too, so. Basically, I was brought in to talk and consult about video in its next iteration. And if you think about it, video has become one of the most profitable forms of journalism online. The CPM rates are off the charts there. Vice is making a ton of money through sponsorships. It's kind of replacing TV. And we are living in an increasingly visual age where we sometimes consume text, but sometimes we want photos, but sometimes we want videos and so on. So what the internet has kind of done is it has reconditioned us to consume the moving image in different ways, right? We binge on series, we binge on documentaries if we're really in that direction. We consume clips and little bursts, and we watch it on the go on this little thing, or on the iPad, or a movie on the train that we downloaded on a computer. But how much have we as journalists really embraced this form, and how much have we kind of like gone along with this evolution? So this is our proactive step towards actually taking charge of owning that space. And whenever you're going out there, we want you to be crazy, we want you to be innovative, I guess that's a big word, but like we want you to just try things out. And even if you don't come out with a perfect product at the end of this, we really love that you're all here and you're bringing your creative juice to this place.
Lenny.
Yeah! So, I'm Lenny, and welcome everybody to the space. I want to go over just a couple. So I am working here at Condé Nast, and I work for the New Yorker. We work on really cool web journalism stuff, and I love graffiti. I keep a blog. My handle on things is Remember Lenny, so if you don't forget, then you can follow. But I want to go over just a couple code of conduct. Okay. Great. Welcome.
We have Laura, who helped sign you in. She helped with catering.
Come introduce yourself. Everyone, I work with Covenant Budget. This is my very first hackathon, so I'm new to the scene. Happy to be here. If you have questions about your weekend, I will do my best to answer them. I will come to bed. I will be fascinated about the weekend as well. At Dudley, I do some marketing and general brand management. We just launched an ambassador program I'm super excited about. And I've been with Dudley for about 7 or 8 months.
Thanks. And finally, I'm Coven, and I'm at Bentley, and like I work with a lot of companies, develop ideas about how you can improve the apps. Over the last year, I was going into a lot of newsrooms and just kind of talking about what sort of problems people on the product and tech side and also journalists were having. And it seemed like some of the things that they were telling me, I was like, oh, you know, this wouldn't be hard to prototype, but like, you know, I'm in startup land, and we don't know about some of these problems. So I thought just having a space where we could bring together journalists and developers, like, things could happen. And I went to one in Europe, a journalism hackathon, went really well. So in doing one here, Matt had been starting with that group at MIT last June, Future News Group. So we partnered together on putting on that hackathon.
And but basically, as I said before, I'm working with companies and I'm working with students, and the whole hackathon experience to me is this great way of bringing a lot of different elements together and to learn a lot about what's happening in the new space. There's a lot of these companies out there that I think are searching for solutions, but I think solutions really have to come from the ground up. And this is a great way for people to sort of get some their creative juices flowing and to come up with ideas when they go back to their company. They can say, you know what, we have some great ideas, let's try to get these input. And that's where it's going to happen for me. I mean, it might have to be exceptional, frankly. Exceptional boss who will have some really good ideas and be able to drive stuff. But I think the best ideas are going to come from people at the bottom who are going to think, I have this really cool idea. Talk about the hackathon, you've got, you know, a rough prototype going. I think this is something that can really help us. And I think that's why this is so cool.
So in the spirit of that, I'm going to explain to you a little bit. We have kind of an alternative design to the hackathon experience for you today, in that you'll note that ours is for community building versus competition. You did not submit pitches ahead of time, and we are selecting your team. So we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One is because we didn't want people coming in here just working for their individual newsroom. We want to be hacking on video, and we want to give you sort of a creative playground to explore some of the things that you haven't been able to explore in your newsroom, and now you get to work with a really awesome group of people to figure out how to do that. You also might look around and note that this is a pretty diverse group that we have here, and we were really intentional as the organizers of that. So we're seeing it a little bit more balanced, but in terms of our expected attendees, so gender ratio is 2 to 1. Women, which is kind of unheard of in the hackathon space. It looks like just like a rough estimate that it's more about 50-50 here. But you know, we value diversity because we think that as we are trying to build the future of news, that diversity is integral to that. And that you need diverse teams and diverse perspectives in order to build the best products for the future. You'll also note when you get your teams that they're a little bit on the larger side. So normal hackathons have like 4 or 5 people in a team. You're going to find 6 or 7 people in a team. And this is because we're exploring with how we define technologists in this space. So I like to borrow a phrase from my friend Lauren L. McCann, who's a creative technologist. And she says that technology is anything from spaceships to knitting needles. And that in this space, that technology skills can be anything from Ruby on Rails to avid Facebook. So in this space, we value everyone's skills and what they bring to the design experience. And we want to make sure that you all know that going into your groups and that you value having diverse perspectives in this process as well. So if anyone has any questions, we're going to guide you through some of the early stages of the design, and then this afternoon we're going to let you just go and build how you want. But you can know that any of the leaders are here to help you through the process. And then I'm also just going to give a quick shout out. We have Nelson Hugh is here and Laura Cochrane is here. And they're both going to be helping us with some of the brainstorming and developing personas to get you started with your ideas and your team. So we'll help you out every step.
Great. So I'm gonna do space stuff. How's everybody feeling? Good. That's it. Oh man, everyone should just leave. That's horrible. Really, how are you guys feeling? So I'm going to go over a couple of space-oriented things regarding this workspace and then also go over the schedule. So this space is all ours, the whole floor today and tomorrow. But because it's actual office for Condé Nast employees, there's people's desks and their personal belongings and different technology that belongs to them. So please don't move anything that's on a desk and don't take anything that's on a desk, please. The other is we have many conference rooms in this hall that have both glass windows and walls that you can write on. They're whiteboard walls. Please, you know, if you do write on a wall, make sure it's a whiteboard wall. So,
if you have a question, just ask.
Yeah, so that's a whiteboard wall. It's glossy and shiny. That's not a whiteboard wall. It's white and flat. So just a note. Also, because of security in the building, if you leave and come back, your pass won't actually let you in the doors here. So you're sitting next to maybe 6 people, exchange phone numbers right now. So if you get locked out, you can call someone and they can come let you in. Especially when you get in your groups, make sure you have everyone's phone number. My phone number's on the door, but I don't want to get called by everybody.
We can add mine too. Do a buddy system. If you leave, just let someone know before you leave.
Exactly. So
Don't be shy.
There's lots of coffee today. Coffee makes you pee. The restrooms are on the other side of the building. I'm trying to be as awkward as possible. To get to the restrooms, if you have to pee, you're going to walk all the way around the building to the other side, and you'll see the restrooms. There's signs that are handwritten, but if you do need to go and you don't know where it is, follow the signs. And one last thing, please, take pictures, tweet. We're tweeting at Video Hack. But if you see like prototypes pasted on the wall, or you see things that look like they're probably sensitive to Condé Nast, please don't take pictures of them. We're trusting you here. You're curious, but we don't want things shared before they're actually live. So is that okay? It's kind of a trust system going, so. All right, great. So I'm just going to do a quick schedule thing, and then we're going to jump straight into it. Right after this, we're going to have lightning talks by a few really amazing people. And then after that, we're going to go over the ideation steps, where you're going to get broken up into groups. And in your groups, you'll get to meet and quickly do something. Then we're going to have lunch. Yay! Yay! And then after that, we're just going to get to working on projects. And today, we're going to be working we're building until about 8 o'clock. And then we're going to have a hacking, or what's called the video party, down at the W Hotel in the financial district. It's right around here. So we'll encourage everybody to leave around 7:45. And then we'll start back up again tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to just be working and doing stuff. And then in the afternoon, we're going to have our presentation. So thank you all so much for coming.
As we get into lightning questions from speakers, we have some extra seats up front.
Can I introduce them? All right. This is like one of my favorite things to bring together because I love pretty much everyone who's speaking today. And I've been really interested in the transmedia, as they say in documentary, and sort of the online multimedia, interactive video realm. And these are really like some of my favorite people here. And without further ado, I introduce you Aina Abiodun. She's a storyteller, a futurist, a digital culture pioneer. She's a practitioner. She works with like fiction and non-fiction storytellers and brings them to the digital realm. But she's also a co-founder of one of my favorite communities here in New York, StoryCode, which brings together storytellers and technologists. And they do this stuff. They do behind the scenes talks, but they also have like people just giving their wisdom to all of you. So without further ado, there she is.
So, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. You got a hard
5 minutes is the hard stop.
I actually have my own timer. So the timer breaks. Thank you guys. Thanks, Lam. Thanks, Kavan. Really pleased to be here. My name is Aina Abiodun. I'm the founder of StoryCode, like Lam said. StoryCode, if you haven't heard of it, is an organization. We're global. We're very similar in DNA to Hacks Hackers. Nice to hear what Gina had to say about it. We bring together people working at the intersection of narrative and technology. We're global. We're on 5 continents now. It functions as a lateral movement. There is no like top-down leadership. And the function of the organization is really just to create and encourage experimentation at the intersection of narrative and technology. I started the organization about 4 years ago as the organization for a couple different reasons. At the time, I have a background in film, and I come to it from feeling instantly 4 years ago, the room would not be this purpose, by the way. So I'm excited to see that there is this diversity of fruit. It felt to me like something was happening. Like cement was being poured in an area that certain people were not going to get access to if they did not get anything. And when I say certain people, I mean the vast majority of people outside who was then considered to be the core leaders in the technology area. As you guys, those of you who are journalists and who may not come from a tech background probably know, it's a very difficult nut to crack, right? Like, so there's an exclusivity around technology. It's really hard to kind of insert yourself into that conversation. Even though as a storyteller, as someone who creates narrative, you're a person who has a lot to say about how people feel when they read things and how they feel when they experience a visual narrative that's interactive. So the core idea behind why StoryCode came together is this fear that I had of what I call the mono-narrative, right? The mono-narrative is that thing that happens when a lot of the same kind of people write a lot of the same kind of things. I'll just kind of zip backward and say that it has fundamental roots for me in an experience that was really, really kind of solidified as a child. When so I grew up in Nigeria, that's where I was born. And probably my very first memory of anything civic or political was just a salient 9-year-old moment of opening a newspaper and reading about a journalist who had been murdered. He had been murdered for having some information that he was going to write a story about regarding some corruption in the government. If you follow Nigeria at all, you know corruption is not a big deal there. It happens all the time. But one of the things about it is that the press is not free there. It has never been free. And so for me, I asked my parents, like, why did they do this? I didn't get it. And it was like the moment where I realized that freedom of expression was actually like a thing. Because if you grow up in this country, you might not realize until maybe last week, right, in France, suddenly you realize it is a thing and it is a thing in the West. So that moment, I think, has probably defined my life more than anything else. The sense that if you have a single narrative or a repressed narrative or a narrative that has no other point of view, you're done as a nation. Now, I will, as a Nigerian, say that Nigeria is a failed nation. A huge part of its failure as a nation has to do with its lack of diversity of conversation. And that's not even actually a question of diversity in culture. That's really just like a diversity of opinion. It's a diversity of the freedom to say what it is that is dissent, essentially. So, for me, I fast forward to now, to today, and the biggest fear that I do have in the space as the interactive space grows is that the mono-narrative reinserts itself into the larger cultural conversation. So I'll just give you an example, Gamergate, right? So Gamergate really got to me because I really feel there was something there that was being shut down. It was the idea that an interactive narrative that did not belong in the mainstream gaming space would not be allowed to exist. When Zoe Quinn, who designed Depression Quest, started off the whole Gamergate thing, all right, 1 minute. When she began getting trolls and docs, to me it was like kind of the worst possible thing that could ever happen in the space of interactive narrative. The fact that gaming could never have only one narrative. I never felt that it could. It's why I do what I do. It's so that we can see a diversity of narrative, and so that we can take the idea of interactive, change people's perceptions by giving them an opportunity to see a different point of view. So if I have one thing to say today, it's that the mono narrative has to die because it has no place in the space of dissent, it has no place in technology, it has no place in the general space of narrative. I'm so psyched to see that you guys are here representing such a diversity of narrative. Check out Storybook, that is what we do. We encourage people to do that, join our communities, and we hope to be able to do more of what we do. Thank you.
Hi again. I'm back. So I'm gonna give so video's been really popular over the last year. I think one of the things that made it stick out for me was like when Facebook started doing autoplay and Ice Bucket Challenge blew up and companies started using Vines and Instagrams more seriously like these ones. So basically when I look back at some of the things that Evently has made, we focus on like UX features on the websites. So wow, it's going only one way. Okay, so we take what works for companies, and then we give it to everybody else. So when I want to feel really good about what I'm doing in life, I think of it as stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And so what is actually working? Well, when you're on Facebook, you put in a link, and then a little preview comes up. You can make sure it's the right link. So it's the Sports of Canada song, and then I post it, and then you can have a conversation around it. Having that preview can make for a better experience, and other people started to want to do it. So we made Evently create an API from giving a URL to a little preview. So then Medium can now have videos, and Genius can now have videos. Anyway, so there you can see that Brad Victor video embedded there. Reddit can have videos. They're embedding a Vine here, and then a whole conversation happens around it. This is footage of the almost successful SpaceX large landing that came out yesterday. It was pretty crazy. Okay, so the Facebook autoplay. Okay, that's happening. So when we saw that and saw how engaging it was, like when it autoplays and it's silent, you can't help but watch it. It's devious. So we want you to be able to do it too. Oh. Okay, it's going the wrong way. Okay, so we made this open source library to interface with. You embed a YouTube video, Vine, Instagram, whatever. You can autoplay it or other things. And all right, another success, Upworthy. They have their attention minutes. It's not just time on page. It's engagement. So things like and they found measures, very strict measures, to is the reader still paying attention or is the viewer still paying attention. So you can see this comparison of page views and total attention minutes. You showed this to, I mean, everybody here, a lot of people, they are funded by ads. So you show this kind of number to ads with like. So we wanted you to be able to do that. If you go on Reddit videos, this overlay exists for anything publicly. It shows you certain analytics on video. This is a heat map, so you can see how far in the video people watch. This video is not very good. People watch the beginning, then stop, it's clickbait. Not a good video. So if you want to promote it, this will not be a good one to use because people won't trust me. So we have all of these videos going all around the internet and all of this data. What can we do next? So this viral, strange commercial came out with Chef Goldblum. You guys remember it? And Pencil Light. Very weird. But we could do stuff like, okay, this is very small, but I'll describe it. We could see how it flows through all the companies using Belly, like something like, I don't know, many of the 50,000 videos are on using Belly or something like that. So anyway, it bursts on, are we doing on time? Yeah. A minute, oh, cool. So it first bursted on this small blip with Reddit, but really bursted on some e-cards. And then goes up on Reddit, so that's that red one, goes up and then down, and then it gets on Boing Boing, and then it carries on. So through each of these channels, this video is behaving differently. It's not just about getting your video out there, it's about the audience and then how the audience in these different websites responds to your video. And so when we look at it as a whole, even though Boing Boing didn't spike as high as Reddit, Boing Boing had about 150,000 plays, Reddit had 50,000, and some e-cards had 20,000. And this all the way on the right, that's that heat map from before. If it's flat, that means people watch it all the way through. So you can see some of these cards dips faster than the other one. So it being on Boing Boing was better for the video because people actually watched it all the way through. So that's so that's some of the tools that we made. That's some of the data that we have. We have a few people here. Andy's doing a workshop. If you want to build some of this stuff, if you like JavaScript developer, you want to learn how to do this. Here too. Those product stuff, I jump in newsrooms. I like to make interactive public art. We can have awesome conversations.
Our next speaker is Ingrid Kopp. She's amazing. She's the director of Interactive at the Tribeca Film Institute, which has been giving out heaps and heaps of cash for to projects that are about doing immersive video online storytelling. And she's here to talk to you about her organization and maybe other stuff. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. But like, she's seriously like one of my favorite and the smartest people in this realm. And if you will ever have 5 minutes with her, she will give you feedback and recording. Anyhow, that's it.
Cool. So, yeah, I can't tell you how I'm going to go with it. I can't tell you how nice it is to be at a hackathon that I'm not organizing. I feel like I've spent the past year every single weekend at a hackathon. That really complicated Hackpad URL is a place where I've been storing a bunch of interactive projects that I've been projects that we fund, but also school projects that I see in my travels. The P at the end of my Twitter thing has disappeared down there. It's from the head, not from the head. So you can always find me on Twitter as well. So at the Tribeca Film Institute, we started funding interactive work in 2011. And basically since then, I've been on this journey to sort of think about storytelling and interactivity. And the reason we've been doing a bunch of hackathons is we've been really excited about bringing filmmakers and artists together with technologists and designers, because we never really opportunities to really met before. And another thing that I really loved about the last kind of few years of my career is, before when I was in hardcore in the documentary trenches, I felt like I just never met people out of my discipline. We go to the same festivals, we go to the same conferences. We were sort of always talking to each other, and I think, what I know was talking about, I really, I think that is something that was definitely firmly entrenched in the world I was in before, and I can see it seeping back in a little bit now, but because I sort of feel like we don't have legacy code right now, I really, I think this is such an incredible moment for us to really build that we're ever do another huge part of what we do at Tribeca. So, this is crazy. So one of the things that I love about hackathons, and that I love actually about all the work we do, is this idea of the adjacent possible. This is taking, it's borrowing heavily from a scientific concept and it's murdering it horribly. But what I really love about these kinds of spaces is this idea of, that we're really stretching this idea of the adjacent possible. Because what you're doing is you're creating these spaces where new things can happen, and unexpected things can happen literally by putting people into groups and having them talk to each other over a day or two when they wouldn't normally. And this idea of, boundaries going as you're exploring them. I think it's really, really exciting and something that I love about hackathons. There is a lesson things can happen at the playground and a safe space to play too, which I think is really important. You know, in this world where we're all scrabbling most of the rest of the time. So I'm going to just quickly play. This is another way that we're exploring the interface impossible, bringing people together at TFI Interactive. You may recognize a lot of people in this video. People play.
Let's have Lenny do it.
Lenny, you do it.
I had to. I don't think it's going to win.
Okay, you won't let us know. I'll just skip it. It's on our website. Everything's on our website. So anyway, there's a great video there which shows all these speakers. We've got Ben Moskowitz talking about, you know, personalization of video, how creepy that can be, but also how powerful that can be. One of the things we're always exploring with a lot of this is the ethics of doing a lot of this cool stuff, because of course the cool stuff comes when you realize there are a lot of considerations. And what's really interesting in the documentary space is we're increasingly also figuring out, you know, we've always been in our space arguing about ethics, but now increasingly we find that journalists and documentary filmmakers are really kind of in the same space, and we often bring different ethics to that space. So I think the conversations there are really, really fascinating. And then of course, you know, for me it's two things. It's one, knowing that, you know, this is something we need to acknowledge all the things that the internet and all these new technologies are bringing, but on the flip side, this idea that technology can fix everything. And you know, that's something that we're always exploring, that, you know, technology is not a fix-all for everything. So finding a balance between those two worlds. And then also, and this is something that I think is really fascinating about video and audio and all of these things, is that, you know, that a new medium comes along, but of course all the old mediums are still there. They just get morphed and changed in really interesting ways. And what I really love at the moment is, at a lot of the festivals and conferences I've been at recently, of course VR is everywhere, and everyone's fascinated with VR. I'm fascinated with VR. But at the Digital Doc Lab this year, Serial won as best in practice piece. So you've got, you know, audio, pretty old school audio, which is really kind of really competition against the new VR, and I love that those exist. And I think that kind of, so I'm going to quickly whiz through some projects that you might want to have a look at, just in terms of how video is used interactively. This is an old project from 2008. Gaza Kilarad, it really influenced a lot of our work in interactive stories in space. This idea that you can explore both sides of the border, but whichever one you look at, the other one's always there, so the other isn't present. Hollow, which is a project we funded with the Multi-Med team, bringing data visualization, video, photography together on a long-scrolling storytelling platform. Alma, which is a project where there's two screens and you can scroll between them either on the iPad or the mouse, and you get a very, very different audio experience and video you choose to look at. So every time you watch it, it's slightly different. And finally, this was a project that's coming along at the moment. It's actually developed in a hackathon that we ran, Do Not Track, which is about being tracked online. But as you watch the short films online, you're actually being tracked to see how you're being tracked using Lightbeam. So it's a really interesting project that sort of shows you how you're being tracked while telling you the story about tracking online. And that'll be coming out in a couple of months. And then finally, we're also looking at how video can be used differently through creating video with robots. We control robots, we control humans, it's called LabDroid. Of course, my boss, Robert De Niro, not very impressed with VR, but we are obviously exploring what we're very interested in, like how VR is changing filmmaking, how the edit is different in VR, the ethics of VR. A lot of things we are looking at involve really, really different subject matter and not really in that space. It's a really powerful thing. So what does that mean in terms of triggering traumatic episodes? And finally, something that I think is really interesting is that, you know, we're really having to look at the audience more than we ever did before. I think back in my TV days, we can bring more the audience to the audience figures, but now it's not just what the stuff will do, but what the people with that. And I think bringing that humanity back into everything, you know, it's not it's people, and that's just something all the work that we did. And I'm sorry that I waffled so much, but I'm really excited to be here, and this is all the stuff that I get excited about. So, thank you.
Cool. We're going to have Andrew next. He is the CTO of Parsley, so we're really thrilled to have him. And not only is he going to be giving a talk, he's going to be doing a workshop and participating in the hackathon. Woo!
One second. I'll do it. So, cool. Good to see everyone. I'm glad so many people came from out of town for this event.
excited about. So Parsley is a web analytics company. We do web analytics for large media companies. In fact, Condé Nast took us and we're a partner. And we work with a lot of top-tier publishers basically to understand their audience and try to figure out what's making them huge on the web. Oh, actually, Lenny, if you could just download it and throw it into slideshow mode, you'll probably yeah. Yeah. So I came up here from DC. I was already at training this morning, so I'm going to have to you guys. I might leave a little earlier if I start falling asleep. But I'm really excited about video because video analytics is something that a lot of our customers have been asking us a lot about. And actually, we worked tirelessly in the last 6 months on a new version of our platform that provides new capabilities that help with video measurement and tracking. And I think it'll be really helpful to journalists as well. So let's see if we can do. Okay, cool. So just to tell you a little bit about how we think about this, I think of media companies as having 3 core problems: growth, engagement, and loyalty. Growth is basically you're a new media site, you want more audience, so you're trying to get people who care that your site exists. Engagement is they show up on your site and maybe they leave later. You want to keep them there. You want them to read longer stories. You want them to watch content that reminds them that your media brand is one worth paying attention to. And then loyalty is you've got an audience and you want to build up that loyal audience that comes back day over day. And so Parsley basically started by providing analytics around growth. Last year it started to go into engagement, and this year is going even more into loyalty. I'll talk a little bit about how that is. At its core, what we think of is that an analytics dashboard for publishers shouldn't be a geek tool. It shouldn't be like Google Analytics where you like dump, URLs and you got like 100 columns and your data analyst emails you a sheet which you can't even look at because it's just too complicated. It should be like a live, refreshing, interactive experience. It shouldn't even feel like an analytics system. It should just be a drill-down discovery of what your audience is doing. So what we try to do is integrate a lot of these roles into a single dashboard. And we do that by really understanding how publisher sites work, which is sites are organized around posts, authors, sections, and tags, and they have engagement from visitors, views, time, including engaged time. In fact, I was happy to see what Kevin talked about with Upworthy. Upworthy is a customer of ours, and we developed their attention minutes concept with them. And we actually just open sourced the code behind that last week on GitHub. So there's like a way to actually understand how engaged time flows out both from videos and also from content on your websites. And then also your traffic sources, how your audience is being loyal with your content, whether they're sharing it, what devices they're coming from. All of this is captured inside the Dash. So the other thing is that we try to make the data accessible. This is actually a full screen view of the Parsley dashboard, which newsrooms can often put up like right on screens just like this, right? And except with the real one, it would be live refreshing. You can see like data flowing through. And this is running in newsrooms ranging from News Corp to the Daily Telegraph in the UK to Condé Nast and some of their editorial teams. So it's really about making that data accessible to everyone. We'll do it in time. So this is kind of the display of what we provide. If you were a journalist and you wrote this story for ArsTechnica.com on the Bitcoin, one of the various Bitcoin standards, then you would see that this is the page views per minute of traffic flowing onto the site. You'd see that 9,000 visitors visited this article. They spent 560,000 seconds in aggregate on the story, and they spent 63 seconds per visitor on that story. So if you linger it around for about a minute, do that on that article, which is pretty high overall. And you can also get a sense of where they're coming from. Are they coming from the Ars Technica homepage, from Reddit, from other sources like Twitter and Facebook? All of that is broken out easily. But then we also roll up the data in such a way that you can compare, for example, different sections and tags of content. And you can drill into any one of those, and you can get a better understanding of your content from that standpoint. So the other interesting thing with Parsley's dashboard is that it helps you understand your traffic sources. And the sources of traffic are often like a mystery for publishers, especially lately Facebook, which has been such a large source of traffic with very little information about why that's happening. So we try to decode as much of that information as we can and display it meaningfully. So for example, in this view here, we're showing our Technica that when they get linked from Reddit.com, the stories that are getting linked are ones about the FCC and about like communication issues and net neutrality issues. And that tends to be what resonates with the Reddit audience. And as you can see here, there's about 500 posts that Ars Technica wrote about linked from Reddit, and 40 of those about the FCC that generate links to the track. So getting a better understanding of how these audiences work is really what Parsley is all about. And so at the hackathon, I'm hoping that I can work, especially with the folks at Embeddly or anyone else, to get a better understanding of how to do better video measurement. Because we already do very precise time tracking. We already have support for some video players like YouTube and video, but we want to do more with Video.js and other players like that. So that's it.
Up next, Gerard Cole. He's a senior video producer and video reporter at the Wall Street Journal. He produced some really awesome interactive, like Emmy-nominated work for the Wall Street Journal. He's been part of like some of the most amazing immersive, like long-form journalism that the Wall Street Journal has done recently. Very excited.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
So as Juan said, I'm a video producer at the USJ. I'm not a programmer or a designer. So that probably informs a lot of the goals that I have when I have to interactive projects. Which is one of my goals is to bring the basics of the web into the video player. So there's a lot of great things happening, big immersives that deal with video. I'm fascinated by how we can get more of what's great about the web into the player itself. So how do you introduce things like a hyperlink that's so easily done in text, it's been masking so long, into a video? Lots of people doing really interesting things in this space. I want to walk you through one project that we did to think what we learned and what we did well and what we didn't do well could inform some of the projects that we'll move on.
You got 3 seconds.
All right, awesome. So it's a little bit crazy to me, I'll bring up the project shortly, that the primary interaction people have with video, whether it's on an iPad, an Apple TV, or a web browser, are the same sorts of interactions you have with the VHS tape and HDR. Play, pause, and not looking beyond that. So we were looking to take on a story where there might be more opportunity to introduce interactivity, and it's actually useful to the story. So what we took on was in 2013, before the Affordable Care Act had rolled out and anyone really understood the nuts and bolts of how it worked, was taking on Obamacare and explaining it to our people. Healthcare seemed like a pretty good topic for interactivity because people care about health policy as it relates to them. Even health policies can often be pretty dry and broadly. We thought if we were walking you through Obamacare, there's a good chance that the user would want to explore the part that's relevant to them. See if it's like, go back. So this should play without sound, but here was the premise of our video piece. We shot it. We can just go with the screen grabs. We shot it first person, so we woke you up in the future with a helmet cam video and said, this is what the world's going to look like under Obamacare. This is how it'll affect you if you're uninsured and you go to the hospital. You work at a big company and your insurance provides the plan there. How will things change in the law? And we allowed the interactivity to come into play via specific objects. So you can see here, we highlighted a radio. There was a news report that was playing. If you're interested in what you heard on the radio, you'll listen to that news report. But along the way, we brought up links sort of in your peripheral vision that you choose to follow to an article. If we keep you in the video player, we want to do that. So sidebar video, interactives. We brought in data that would also sort of pause. You click, you look at the chart, and when you return, we bring you back to the top and you want to do. Now, the things that we learned from this are that it's very hard to make interactivity both optional and obvious. So we wanted the users to be able to sit back and watch this as a video, kind of like you're watching a movie. I think that's a very good experience, and if you piqued your interest, you could dig in further. But as a result of that, we had to make our design kind of big and blue blue and bright. We had to like really highlight the things that you could click on. We had to do this first-person helmet cam view because it felt a little bit like a video game. So we were trying to figure out how many cues can we give to our viewers so they understand they can interact without taking away, without sort of loading the experience down with the weight of interactivity. One of the things that was kind of difficult for us is at the beginning of the video, we have a 20-second voiceover that just explains to you this is an interactive video. You can click or tap along the way, and it feels kind of funky to storytelling. So the next version, we let to figure out how can we do that as a picture part of the story that's more elegant as we move forward. So I wanted to just pause to show you how cool you can look while you're hacking video. We built a custom helmet cam rig as we were doing this. And walking through the Wall Street Journal newsroom with that on your head is a way to really boost your confidence. Alright, so what we learned are that a lot of the things about this project works. We got an average quick rate of at least 3 different pieces people would click on along the way. People spent more time on average a minute with this video than total runtime of the video. So they would engage with it for a pretty long time. But like I said, the question I would love for everyone here to think about, and chat with me about it afterwards, or maybe this will manifest in some of what we're hacking together, is how do you make that interactivity optional but obvious in a way that builds on what we did, but is a little bit more elegant than what we were supposed to think about. So this is the URL if you want to check out our project. That's my email address and Twitter handle. Please be in touch. Chat with me later. Love thinking about all this. Happy hacking channel to see it. Thank you.
Hey. Up next is Nicholas Fortunio. He is Fortunio?
Yes, Fortunio.
There you go. He's an amazing game designer and has worked with a lot of storytellers. There's like I was at this conference where I met him in London called Power to the Pixel. It was all about immersive storytelling. And gaming was like the biggest next thing in documentary film, which you probably would. But he's going to talk about interactivity and how it relates to narrative. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. I apologize for not having slides. What I want to talk about today is sort of what Ricky on the last point that was being about, like this idea that interactivity can be optional, that interactivity can be seamless, it is visible. That's like one direction to go. There's another direction to go into here, because interactivity is necessary, interactivity is essential, interactivity is part of the aesthetic. And I think that the place where, when I talk at a lot of places where games are sort of serious topics, like games in education, games in healthcare, film. And so the idea of bringing interactivity into these pieces is one way to think people. But the thing I've noticed over and over and over again is that when people come to this from a different medium, they don't necessarily understand what it is that you engage in interactive forms. And I think the most important thing to understand about this is really simple. Because I don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to get to the point and then I'll elucidate it, is this. When you read a book, when you read an article, when you read a newspaper piece, what you are doing is reading. So your access point to the information is by reading. When you watch a video or you watch a movie or you watch like a documentary piece on television, your access point is looking at something and interpreting it visually and then bringing all to bear what you understand about how you interpret it. When you look at games, you are not reading. You are not looking. You are playing. Right? That is what a game is. And I can give you evidence after evidence after evidence. Probably the most prominent one was work that was done in research on Doom in the earliest days of like Doom and Quake when you played first-person computers. In those days, because PCs were really kind of crappy, you would have a setting in the options file that would allow you to tune up or down the graphics depending on the machine you had. What they discovered over time is that anybody who was a hardcore Quake player would eventually tune their graphics on the machine so far down that all they were looking at was colored blobs. Right? So the enemy would be gray blobs, the players would be green blobs, and they could identify each other just simply by looking at color and shape. It was indistinguishable as a real world. But that was where players would go, because they didn't care what it looked like. They cared how it played. And if that reduced lag and that meant they could shoot faster, then that was fine. They understood what they were doing. Now the reason why I bring up this story is like it's sort of an interesting thing to think about. If you're playing in a first-person shooter game where the whole thing is supposed to be representational of some kind of like human combat world, you would think that being able to see demons would be relevant. You would think that being able to see the environment you wouldn't be relevant. You would think that the narrative of that experience would be told through those assets. And so what your experience would be is sort of, oh, I'm walking through a dungeon that's filled with this nasty hellscape, and I found this awesome wicked weapon that's sticking out in front of me that shoots flame, and I'm just amazed by how much destruction and how much relevant damage I can do to the forces of people, but nobody cared. What they cared about is when I hit A, do I move forward? What I cared about is when I click the left mouse button, how fast does that thing go off, and how much damage does it do, and how much damage is it going to take for that thing to go down. And if I have to kill that thing in about 3 seconds, can I kill it in 3 seconds or can I kill it in 2.5 seconds? But when I'm saying all this, I'm not saying that they weren't playing a game about wandering through a dungeon with demonic hellscape. They were. They just understood it through hit A, click mouse button, 2.5 seconds. Right? And that jump, right, that jump to say that, like, well, what we're talking about when we talk about interactivity is not visual design, it's not words, it's not sound design, although all those things add to it. It's interactivity. But the interactivity itself can be part of storytelling. It's something that I think is really relevant to what we do when we think about this kind of like hack journalism, when we think about these spaces. Now, this isn't to say that everything that looks into sort of like multimedia work or interactive work needs to be concerned about this. And obviously, there are ways to bring all of this to bear that can be, you know, like very powerful. And as you said, that can be optional. Storytelling can be pretty straightforward and linear. All of those are powerful forms, and nobody's knocking it. But if what you want to do is move into interactivity, the first thing you want to think about is, what am I doing? Like, what are you asking the user to do? And how can asking the user to do something itself be an act of storytelling or aesthetic? Right? How can I push a mouse button? How can I slide something around the screen? How can I launch a video or close a video? How can I make a selection between options? How can I navigate a 3D space in such a way that I feel the storytelling as I do it? And the place you look for this is games. If I had more 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, I would just show you example after example after example of this. Look at things like September 12th. You could look at things like Shadow of Colossus. You could look at things like Dysphoria. You could look at things like Kentucky Route Zero. You could look at things like all of Paolo Pedicci's work for Bully Industria, and just sort of see examples of how interactivity can be used in ways to make an aesthetic real for itself. Do that through prototyping, you do that through experimentation. Don't do that by treating the interactivity in the default way. Don't do that by ignoring the interactivity. Dive directly into the activity and try to find something that will work. Hopefully that's something that you're prototyping.
Okay, next we have Scott Ray. He is the VP of Engineering at Ramp, which is one of our sponsors. So he's going to be giving a talk, and then later on also doing a workshop.
So, again, my name is Scott Money, VP of Engineering at Ramp. I actually used to work at Lycos, and we worked with Web.com, which is now became a Condé Nast site. So I have a little bit of experience working with journalists directly from a technology perspective. If you look at who we're working with right now, you'll see a lot of journalist media companies, from Fox News, ABC, all of those types of companies. So what we've been working on in the last couple of years, or actually moving back up and say where we started. So our technology, our core technology, came out of a DARPA grant after 9/11 to use speech-to-text for monitoring phone calls. So this is all the NSA type technology. So the company that did it was called VPN. They were acquired by Raytheon, and then the U.S. government took that technology and used it for that. They also spun it off into another company, and called Ramp, and we use it to enable journalists, media companies, to allow people to find content, to find video. Because your video is only as effective, it is only as good as people. And so what we do is we use that speech-to-text engine to take the audio transcript that's inside of it and generate a catalog of content. So we can do things like create a search index. So all the audio and everything that you're saying inside that video allows you to now not only find the video based on the title and description, but also based on the content inside of it. You can also, because it's timeline, you can also jump you directly to where in the video they're talking about. We can also know, now that we know those individual things, we know that there are specific words, like if you're talking about Robinson, you can also load related information about that. So we could use a Wikipedia lookup, pull out information about Obamacare. When we started this project, we started to use a library called Popcorn.js, which is a Mozilla project, which allows interactivity. What the biggest thing that we found with is creating content that's interactive is that it's very, very high touch. I have one video actually created where you guys are strapping cameras to your face and walking around and creating this video. That's a significant endeavor to build that interactivity. So we wanted a way to take all of the video that you currently have, in companies like Fox News, you have decades worth of video, adding the ability to have interactivity on that entire catalog. And so we've been able to use the Popcorn.js library to provide that interactivity, use the transcripts that are generated, concepts that are generated from that video to build interactive experiences. So if you're looking here in this video slide, on the left-hand side is an older version of our player. Essentially has video on it. On the right-hand side, as they're talking about a particular player, in this case, Michael Vick, we're pulling up his bio. Cover this. So essentially, we're able to do time-coded keywords. So being able to identify those keywords inside of the video. We're able to search within the video. So once I'm consuming it, okay. And then we're also able to do interactive video or interactive content based on that video. So when we get into, when I do my workshop later, I'll show you the APIs that we're using to enable this. So essentially what we're be able to do is you can do a traditional search catalog where you can search into it. You can also take video content that we've generated a transcript for and arbitrarily apply rules to it. So we can go through and say, take a news article that's on a page and identify all the keywords that are in it, and then provide interactive activity to that video. And I'll show you specific examples of how we're actually driving traffic. I didn't know there was an animation in this slide. So what happens when marketing people give you slides? Okay. So what we've been able to find out is that through this interactivity, taking the video that you already have on your site, we are having a significant increase in the video visitors that are on the page, the increased interactivity on that page, and driving additional video views, which is ultimately what we want. We want people to consume our video. We want people to experience what we're trying to do. That's it.
I know you guys are tired. It's Saturday morning, but I promise. It's about short video, so it will be